How did I run a 68-minute PB for 50 kilometres? I'm going to tell you in this video. Alright guys, if you watched my last video, the race vlog from the Gold Coast 50, you know that I did a 68-minute PB over the 50 kilometres and I ran 4 hours, 18 minutes and 45 seconds. And I also finished on the podium in the 50 to 59 years age division, taking third place. In this video, I just want to go through a few points that helped me get to a 68-minute PB. And to make it easy, if you want to skip ahead to some of these chapters here, I put them just up here and just the time if you do want to skip ahead, and also down in the descriptions I'll also put the chapters to those topics. Let's quickly run through my race kit. Now I'll bring up a photo here on screen so we can work from head to toe. My hat, 2XU or 2 times U. I run in these hats all the time. A nice, comfortable, white, breathable cap. Sunglasses, those sunnies that I dropped. You might have seen that in the previous video. These are just a cheap pair of sunnies that I bought off eBay. I think they're about $5 or $10. I've had them for several years. They're pretty battle hardened. They've got scratches and marks all over them, but they do the job. The singlet, another cheap singlet that I bought from Kmart. Just nice, lightweight, breathable. Had it screen printed with the Running Duck Effect logo on the back and the word duck exclamation mark on the front. And it's really surprising how many people shout out duck when I'm running. The shorts were also from 2XU, the half compression tights. Only a recent convert to wearing the compression tights, especially longer events. I just find that, you know, you haven't got that chafing issues that you have with just the normal shorts, and you're able to throw water over yourself to cool yourself down and don't have to worry about that nasty red rash in the nether regions. Socks, the Steigen or Steigen socks, the Boston design. Really enjoy running in these socks. They're a nice tight fitting sock and they seem to work well with my feet and the shoes that I run in. The shoes for the day were the New Balance Fuel Cell RC Elite version 2. Only the second time I'd run in these shoes. I had run a 5 kilometre park run in them about 6 weeks ago. I had a little bit of a concern that I may not get the benefit from the carbon plate at the pace that I had envisaged that I would be running, but I shouldn't have worried because these shoes were fantastic. I think that they were one of the reasons why I was able to cruise through that first 20 to 30 kilometres, still feeling really good, having no soreness at all through the legs. So a real thumbs up for those shoes. Garmin watch I wore was the Forerunner 935. I've had this watch for several years now and it does the job for me and has never let me down. And also carried the GoPro Hero 8 and just the extender pole, and that was the kit that I wore on race Pre-race meal, no secret formula here guys. We stayed in a motel room the night before race day. There was not a lot of facilities. We had a jug for tea and coffee. Had to really improvise on race morning and I just went with something really, really basic. 2 slices of wholemeal bread, just smeared with peanut butter, and had a banana. And that was the only food that I took on before the start of the race. Now I had a glass of water and I also sipped on about 200 mils of the Tailwind Nutrition Hydration. I sipped on this up until about half an hour before the race. The 2 slices of bread that I had about an hour or so before the start of the race. The hydration and nutrition that I used out on the course. I went with the Maurten gels, the non-caffeinated variety. I've only recently started to use the Maurten gels, and I find that if you can get used to the consistency of the gels, they're very jelly-like, I guess you could call it. But I had no problems with them when I used them at the Mount Glorious Trail about a month ago. I had no issues during the GC50. I used 2 gels in the first 25 kilometers, and then I restocked with another 2 gels for the back half of the race, and I only ended up using just 1 more gel. So I went with a gel at about 11 kilometers, 23 kilometers, and then I think I had one at about 34 or 35 kilometers. In hindsight, probably should have taken another one around that 42 to 45 kilometer mark, but I just didn't feel like it, and I wasn't going to push it by taking an extra gel, so I just made do with the water, and that's all I used out on course, was just the water at the drink stops or the aid stations. So there was no problems with hydration out on course. That just worked well with the Maurten gels. I did have about 150 mil of tailwind at that halfway point. The way the GC50 was set up, there was an out and back from the start finish area that you have to do. It's about a kilometer and a half, something like that. So when I came back in, and before doing that out and back, I grabbed just a bottle of tailwind and I sipped on that during that out and back section. Other than that, it was just the Maurten gels and water out on course. Nutrition wise, I did make myself a peanut butter sandwich, and I also had some vegan soft lollies as well from Natural Company, I think that's called. I had used those lollies at the Mount Glorious Trail as well, and they worked really well. Here I had one lolly at about 25k. It just didn't sit well when I was chewing on it, so I didn't take any more of those in during the race. Didn't have my peanut butter sandwich. My training leading into the GC50 was, I was underprepared, no doubt about it. If you've been following the channel for a little while, then you'll know that I rolled my ankle out on a trail run about 6 weeks before the GC50. That laid me low for a couple of weeks, and I'll call up my Strava here, and you can actually see how that roll ankle affected my preparation. I had 2 weeks off because there was just so much swelling around the ankle that I just wasn't able to do any running. The way that I attacked the Gold Coast 50 is not something that I would recommend. I really pushed the envelope in those 3 and a bit weeks just to increase the mileage, get the miles back into the legs, and I think my longest run leading in, and you can see here on my Strava that my longest run leading into the Gold Coast 50 was 23 kilometers. And if you go right back through Strava, my longest run in the last 6 months was only 34 Ks. Even though I was quite consistent with those 100k weeks before I hurt the ankle, and I had built a really strong aerobic base or a strong aerobic engine, the ankle did set me back. But the Gold Coast 50, I don't know, it just all came together on the day. I lobbed into a really comfortable pace. I was having a lot of fun out on course. If you saw the last video, I was talking to people. I joined some groups that were just running to a perfect pace for me at that certain time during the race. And I was able to step from one group to another and just maintain a pretty consistent pace throughout. The first 25 to 30 kilometers just seemed to whiz by, and I was at 35k, and that's when I really did start to feel a little bit of tiredness creep in. At 40k, I was really looking for the finish. I had expected to be feeling a lot worse earlier on in the race. You have those sort of days, guys, where everything just sort of clicks into place and you just feel comfortable, even, may I say, effortless in a race or a training session, and you think, wow, that just went so well. Well, that's how I felt in the GC50. I had no expectations. I knew that my preparation was less than ideal. I would have been happy any time around that 5 hour mark, but you know, sometimes it surprises you, the body surprises you, and yeah, you're able to do something that's way and above what you really did expect on the day. And I guess that all comes back to building that aerobic base throughout the year. Maybe those 2 weeks with the rolled ankle just didn't sort of affect me too much. Obviously they stopped me from doing a proper preparation for that GC50 with some longer runs, but yeah, it was a good day. Let's just call it that. It was a good day. 68-minute PB, 3rd place in my age group. You've got to be happy with that. Bittersweet, the final topic of this video. Well, it's a little bit ironic that I'm actually wearing the Tarawera Ultra. What does it actually say on there? The Tarawera Ultra Marathon shirt from 2020 when I did the 50k over there at Rotorua in New Zealand. Trish and I were planning to go back in February 2022. It was going to be my first 100k event, but unfortunately, this is what the bitter part of the bittersweet is. We can't get to New Zealand. The New Zealand government has said that they're not going to accept foreign tourists until April next year, so that makes it pretty impossible for us to get to New Zealand in February. Very disappointing. I've already had contact from the organisers at Tarawera that we can transfer to 2023. I guess disappointing, and probably bitter is not the right word, because it's a bittersweet feeling. Trish and I would have loved to have gone to Tarawera, but it's just not going to happen in 2022. So my first 100-kilometre event now is going to be the Ultra Trail Australia in May down in the Blue Mountains, which is west of Sydney. That's the bitter part of that. The sweet part, obviously, is the GC50 that I've just done. And the fact that I have come through the GC50 so well. I'm actually filming this a few days after the race. I have recovered really well. I've been able to continue some good mileage, because in the next video you're going to see, guys, it'll be another race vlog from the BUR at Daybreak Marathon. So that'll be the 5 events done in 5 weeks. If you've made it all the way through to this point, really do appreciate you watching. Remember, hit that like button. Really does help the channel. The more likes these videos get and the more views that these videos get, the greater the channel is exposed to other people in YouTube land. And if you're not a subscriber, please go ahead and smash that subscribe button, and also tap that notification bell so you know the next time a video is about to drop. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Thanks very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Run free, run happy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Very